Does Finton wash his butt?
Hi, I'm Sydney. Welcome to the Forbidden Cities, a Keeper of the Lost Cities podcast where Jaycie and I talk about Keeper of the Lost Cities books, theories, characters, ships, and more.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Did you see what I named this recording?
No, I can't see it. What's the name?
Oh, no, it's only on my side. I named it whatever episode number because I never know what episode we're in. But welcome to whatever episode of the Forbidden Cities podcast this is.
It's 28.
So this is editing, Jaycie, jumping in to say, we recorded this on November 25th, 2024, and back then we were correct about the episode number. However, this is now episode 31, and it is the next part of our Stellarlune series, so still part 5 of Stellarlune. I have not actually listened back to this full episode yet, so I'm sure that there will be parts that I need to jump in and correct throughout, so we are going on a journey together, because I don't even remember what we said, and there's probably going to be some different stuff that I want to jump in and correct. So, on that note, let's go. Episode 31, Stellarlune, part 5.
We are both exhausted.
Yeah.
I got like 3 hours of sleep. You probably saw my Instagram post where I said I'm on my second energy drink, which never happens. I never do this. Jaycie, what have you got?
No, I normally do that, but I unfortunately have not had an energy drink today because of, I didn't want to go to the gas station. So I am drinking an entire pot of coffee, and I'm doing my best to wake up. But it's the end of a long week for both of us. But it's also for me, it's the beginning of break. Do you have any school next week?
Monday and Tuesday.
You said you do have Monday and Tuesday?
Yeah. Oh no.
That's fun. It's okay.
I do have Monday and Tuesday. Again. Oh, that's another thing I was going to say is I'm currently, you guys should feel special. I'm ignoring an assignment that I'm not going to lie, I completely forgot about. But I'm still ignoring it right now to record the podcast. Feel love. We are on a time crunch, people.
Yeah, that's editing. Jaycie jumping in to say there's a weird skip here because I am removing like a minute and a half of me yapping about what I'm doing for the month of November and December because that already happened, no longer relevant. Suffice to say there's a reason the episode didn't come out for a while. Okay, so I want to start the episode off, and we talked about starting off with like some updates on our theories about Kenrick and Prentice, and one of them was sent to us by an amazing listener, Eden, and she actually has a video about this. So, Sydney, can you talk about that?
Yes. Okay. So, those of you who have been following the Stellarlune series that we're doing, that it's a lot longer than we meant, but we're glad you're here. We've talked about how we are convinced that Prentice has something buried in his memory from Kenrick. That Kenrick actually did use Prentice as a keeper, and Prentice just doesn't remember because it's been washed or his brain is shattered. All the things. Anyway, basic point is Prentice has memories from Kenrick buried in his brain. And our listener found something that I think really confirms this.
Yeah, definitely. So let's pause for a second, and I will insert a clip from her video here, kind of talking about the big thing. This is a quick note from editing, Jaycie, that I reached out to Eden to get permission to put her video inside of this podcast episode, and her request is that we just distorted the pitch of her voice a little bit, so that's why it sounds a little different. If you want to see the original, her YouTube channel is called Project Moonlark, and I've put a link to the video in the description.
So this is comparing some lines in Stellarlune versus some lines in Exile. In Exile, it's like a 2-paragraph description of random jumble of mess that's found in Prentice's mind, and then in Stellarlune, they are describing illusion, and the descriptions are so similar. Like, I think Prentice has to know about illusion because I think this is the most concrete evidence that I've found so far. So there will be the words from Prentice's mind, the descriptions of illusion. So sky-covered hills were now deep green, trees rained, trees were red, orange. Like, I feel like that's not really a deal breaker because there's hills and trees everywhere. Like, I really think that wasn't concrete evidence, but I just threw that in there. But these next lines are like deal breakers for me. Clawed hands, claws, bared their fangs, blurs of fangs, butterflies with bright red lips, Butterflies kissed with red. Beasts sprang from a ground. Beasts tore out of the ground. Like, those are so similar. Like, beasts sprang from a ground, beasts tore out of the ground. Those are like the same. You cannot tell me those are not related. And they're 2 paragraphs. One from Exile, one from Illusion. Basically, like, the exact same thing. And I remembered, like, one of those words being similar to Exile, and I was like, oh, I'll just go check that out. There's absolutely no way that those are not related. Prentice has to somehow know of Illusion, or else, even if he doesn't know about it, he has that in his mind. Like, that is the best evidence that I've found ever.
Okay, so kind of the big thing in the video is the butterflies kissed with red thing, which I had no memory of. I have literally no idea how she went back and found this.
No, because I'm actually so mad because I looked back the other week. Remember when I said, oh, I looked back and didn't find anything? Maybe I didn't say it. But I went
I remember you saying that.
I totally missed it. Either I never went back as far as Exile, or I just literally read it and completely missed that, which is crazy. And I cannot believe neither of us knew this.
Yeah.
Because we also had another listener reach out and say that she also found the same thing.
Really?
And I had like, yes.
That's crazy.
The girl, what's her name? Avery, I think is her name. Yeah.
Crazy.
She sent us a bunch of theories. We'll get to those when we get to an email thing.
Mm-hmm.
New listener, but she said she has known this since like 2022, whenever it came out or something like that. I was like, bro,
no way.
How did we not know?
Oh man.
I'm kind of mad about it, honestly, but I'm so impressed and happy that we found this because I feel so validated.
And
like,
dude,
I knew there had to be something in there.
Yeah. And I'm actually so happy that we found, I guess, that we kind of figured it out on our own before we had that confirmation. Because now I'm like, I figured it out. And now I know I'm right. Unless someone else knew about it and planted it in his mind. But that's not, that would just be a complete red herring. And I don't like that.
Completely random.
And this is Editing Jaycie. Jumping in to add, if you are interested in this line of might Prentice have other memories, but you're thinking, Jaycie, what other memories might there be? Well, have I got a mini episode for you? Over on our YouTube channel, I record mini episodes which are just me telling you about theories that I found evidence for, and mini episode 3, called Missing Memories, is where I break apart some evidence that I found that Prentice or someone might have some other missing memories from Kenrick, because there is a timeline issue. Anyways, I will just let you click the link in the description to go check that out if you're interested in figuring out what other missing memories there might be. Yeah.
The only thing my thought at first is I was like, oh my gosh, Shannon's a genius. And then I was like, I actually kind of wonder if Shannon went back to Exile and was like, what can I use from this random nonsense I wrote down to make it look like...
Yes. Although she did say whenever she released Stellarlune, like, this has some secrets in it that I've been keeping for 12 years or something like that. That's true. And I've been like... Yeah. For this whole time, especially because, Kenrick and Normally are so important, I've been like, what has she been keeping secret for 12 years? Like, we kind of knew this stuff. Yeah. Like, what is the big thing? But I guess that would have to be it, is like, I don't know.
Jaycie, do you remember me telling you about when I went to the event that she was at, and she said that she had a lot more backstory on, like, characters that she wrote at first and then didn't know if she could write into the book?
Yeah.
That also connects just the
It does. Yes, like she wrote like a ton of backstory on all of her characters, but it probably won't be published, kind of thing. I kind of hope she publishes them as side stories.
No, I think what she meant is she wrote a bunch of backstory on the adults, and I think that is Kenrick or Lee,
I think
all the
so.
Stuff. Yeah.
And
now it's like coming out more. Thank you to our listeners for sending in their theories, and keep them coming. This is fun.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, literally overjoyed that we found this.
Dude, I was literally freaking out whenever I watched the video. I was like, there's no way.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. It was awesome. Okay, the other thing, Sydney, this is bewildering. This is like, you're going to be shocked. Okay. So on our last podcast episode, we had a poll. Do you think Kenrick hid memories in Prentice's mind? And dude, 70% of people said yes, and 30% said no.
Wow. Okay. Why?
I don't know. It doesn't say why. They just said no on the poll.
Guys.
I
Guys. Okay. After this, the poll better say 100%. Because now we have solid evidence from our listeners who found it in exile. He has to have it. Has to.
It's literally like... Anyways, I was bewildered.
I might be making myself future real content to put, like, the clown sound over.
Because it's going to be like, yeah, Prentice has this from, like, Forkle or something, and then we all looked up. No, because we know Forkle doesn't know about Elysian. Dude, I don't even know. Anyways,
No, it has to
I
be
thought that was
Kenrick,
crazy.
yeah,
I was like, who voted no? It was like this one time that I put a poll on the Instagram, and one of the options was I didn't look at the second slide, and now I'm confused, and someone clicked that, and I was like, bruh. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to mention before we hopped into the actual Stellarlune chapters was some comments that were on Stellarlune Part 2. So someone commented and said, "Hear me out, guys. Only one of the Forkles was trying to help Sophie, and he's the one that died. Like,
oh, I saw this.
Like, one of them was good, one of them was evil kind of thing." And someone else responds and says, "That's what I was thinking. I mean, it totally makes sense. And no one's been in his brain. They just believe what he says." Okay, logically speaking, does this make sense? Like, has there been any time... Because I don't really know what happened in Nightfall or Flashback. So, has there been any time in Nightfall or Flashback when that wouldn't really line up?
Not off the top of my head. Maybe the Never Seen Hideout, like, they let Sophie destroy everything. Forkle was in on that, I think. Well, no, Forkle wasn't there, actually.
No.
It was Glimmer and
he
Sophie.
was mad. He was mad that Sophie did it, too.
He was mad. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to confidently say either way. I think that's something we'd have to go back and look at. But
yeah, I'd have to look at it.
Theory, I haven't heard that.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that at all, and I'm kind of like, wait a second. Kind of makes sense, especially with how he's been acting in this book with you being so mad. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Real. My first instinct is no way. Like, okay, this Forkle has been with the other Forkle for years. He would have had to turn recently. So I don't think so, but I can't confidently say. There's no evidence for the theory. I'd have to look at it. So
yeah, that's true. Because it wouldn't be like an evil twin that came out of hiding when he heard his brother died. They would have had to know each other because they both were playing the other parts. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, oh, I was gonna say, because you were literally like, is there like an evil guy who's like disguised as Forkle right now?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I believe that more than I believe that Forkle just straight up is evil.
Yeah,
but
like Geth and
totally
Eden
could be an
or
imposter.
Something.
I don't actually think that Forkle is an imposter right now. However, I would not be surprised if he turned out to be.
Yeah. I think same for me. I don't think that he, like, I'm not like, oh, that's a Never Seen member. But if Shannon was like, he's a Never Seen member, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Sure.
I believe it. I see it. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, well, that's all I had before we got into the actual book itself. So I think we're on chapter, you said 31, right?
Yes. Okay.
Fabulous.
We are.
All right, so we're looking first for the Fenton update thing.
Yes. So this chapter is everyone discussing, coming back together and discussing.
Basically, because I feel like we've mentioned this before, we basically know that Fenton's manipulating Marella in some way. Like, there's something going on there. He's trying anyways. And the end of her short story really hinted toward that, which I don't know if you ended up getting to that yet.
No, I don't know why I haven't read it, but I haven't actually read it.
So that's that's what happened right before this scene. Do you want to pause the recording and read it?
Do you want me to?
7 pages. Well, I feel like we should talk about it now because it makes sense in this narrative context. Let's do that. Okay, we just read the short story. It was not my first time. Was it your first time?
It was literally my first time.
Nice.
I realized it's because it wasn't in my hard version. what's the word?
Cover.
Yes, thank you. That.
Yes,
It
no
wasn't in the
worries.
hardcover. Yep.
Do you have the paperback?
I don't. I have the Kindle version, which has it in it.
Oh, that's how I
Yeah.
read it. Right.
Yeah.
There is
I
also a
thought you knew
website,
that.
guys. If you Google it, there is also a website with all of the Keeper deleted scenes, special edition stories. It's someone's Tumblr. So if you need it, Google, whatever short story it is you're looking for, and then Tumblr, and you'll be able to find it that way.
Huh. Who knew?
Yeah. And it's got all
Cool.
those deleted scenes that Shannon posted on Instagram all that time ago. So pretty cool.
Cool. Okay. Cool,
Anyways, Sydney, what were your initial thoughts? I have 3 big things.
Initial thoughts, at first I was like, okay, I'm learning nothing. And then I got further and I was like, okay, I'm learning more. And then I had a thought, which we're going to talk about. And then I had another thought to talk about. But
Okay.
that other thought is more of a reaction. So my first actual thought I had was, oh, this is a cool description of pyrokinesis. Like, this is the first time we've actually had a description of pyrokinesis from a pyrokinetic.
From the mind of a pyrokinetic.
Yeah. I like how easily it made me able to imagine. Like, she called the warmth closer and soaked it in, let it cool under her skin, pounding with her pulse. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Then I thought it was funny how Marella said it's not her fault that she's fiery because people are annoying. That's a mood. So real.
Would Sydney be a pyrokinetic?
Actually,
Comment below.
yes, that should be the poll for this
Yes,
one.
what do you think our abilities would be? Oh my goodness, please
That would be
tell
cool.
me.
Yeah,
I want
comment.
to know,
comment
what
that.
do you think?
Totally.
Anyways, continue.
Then I was like, Marella, why are you talking to your flame? Because she's like, she knew it was a risky move, but she couldn't bear the cold emptiness without a tiny fleck of warmth tucked away. A secret spark whispering, I'm here. You're not alone. Girl, you're hallucinating, okay? That flame ain't talking to you.
I think it's
Maybe we should check on her. And it makes me think about what you said. I don't know when you said it, but how is pyrokinesis this way because it's inherently this way, or is it this way because it's banned?
Because they're having to stifle it. Yeah. Which I feel like that's the experiment they're having, because she's getting to train in it. Like, she doesn't have to stifle it as much. Because, yes, even if it's not banned, they're going to have to stifle it to some degree, because they can't just burn people all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because, exactly what you said. She is getting to use her ability. So it seems like she shouldn't have this little streak of crazy.
And how much worse...
It's kind of making me think she might have a streak of crazy.
Right. And we'll get to that. That's part of... Keep going.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
But that would be antithetical to the whole point of the series.
You'll see.
Which is... Oh, okay. My bad. So then I got to the part where Marella says, Marella doubted a dying flower frozen in ice was suddenly going to make him be like, you know what? Who needs out of this horrible prison when I can have that? And then I was like, why the heck does Fenton want the Nox flare so bad? This is weird. Okay, hold on. I have a thought.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's a
My thought.
Question.
I'm just gonna jump in.
Yes.
What if, this is like the first thing that came to mind reading this, so this could be completely way off, but what if the Nox flares are a portal, and when the other ones are burned with a Stellarlune or whatever, in Stellarlune, Analysian, I don't know, I think the stars aligning is what he's missing. Yeah. And I don't think it's a weapon. I don't think it's going to blow up his prison, but I think it might give him a way to escape, which would be why he wants it, because he knows the stars are about to align.
Oh,
and
no.
all that.
Dude. I thought it was
just... that came to mind.
Okay. Because I thought that it was more like, what was I going to say? I thought it was more like okay, he wants to figure out the secret of how to burn the flowers correctly because he knows that burning it correctly will get him into Elysian. Okay, so here's my kind of big theory. I think that this whole thing is a race to get to Elysian in a way. Like, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I know for sure Kenrick and Fenton had figured out that it existed, and they were both trying to, like, they both gotten there, and now they're both trying to figure out what is this, and I know there's something important here, I need to be the first one to figure it out. And I think that Fenton got as far as, okay, there's some Nox flares. And I think that he either has some vague memory that's been half deleted of burning the Nox flares, or the ancient counselors who created it, or whoever created it, set it up so that a pyrokinetic has to burn Nox flares in a certain way. And he's got that instinct to figure it out, but he doesn't know exactly what way.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's why he made Marella promise, because then he's like, hold on, I copied and pasted this down.
Did I make up that Fenton made Nox flares, or is it just like he might have been part of it?
He didn't create Nox flares. He created balefire, though.
Okay.
He tells Kenrick about it, and he's like, they should talk about this at Foxfire more or something. But the elves created... He could have created it technically, but we know the elves created Nox flares. We know that was an elven, not a gnomish thing. But we don't know that it was a Fenton. And we know it was the ancient
counselors, right?
But, and the thing is, I don't think Fenton was the one who created Elysium, because I think that he was trying to get there.
Yeah, because okay.
And that's why I think the something's missing comes in. I think that it was like a Fallon kind of ancient, not a Fenton kind of ancient that created Elysian. I think it might be tied to the Vacker legacy. I think that Fenton's trying to get into it because he wants the power source, because, I don't know, something never seen related. And I think that he knew that Kenrick was going to get there first, and that's why he specifically said, you should be an ally with me. Kenrick was like, no, and he's like, okay, you're going to regret that. And that's why whenever he's talking to Marella, he says, Marella says, yeah, because I figured when I saw the memory, it would be obvious why it's this big forgotten secret. How does you setting some flowers on fire and then realizing you did it wrong matter to anyone? I did nothing wrong, Fenton assured her with a particularly haughty smile, but Marella wasn't buying it. There was a tightness around his eyes that was way too familiar. Her dad had that same tightness every time her mom was having one of her bad days, and she knew exactly what it meant. Disappointment, frustration, a hint of helplessness. And Fenton, in the memory with Kenrick and Orly, is also like, something's missing. So he's trying to figure out how the Nox flares work, and he doesn't know. And I think,
Yeah, but what does Marella eventually do that is the something missing?
Well, she doesn't figure it out. Well, I guess if she does figure it out in the end of the book.
She?
Yeah, in the end of the book. I don't know. It's like Purple Flames or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I wasn't paying that much attention, to be honest with you, but I will when we get there.
But why would Fenton... Okay, that makes sense for why he wants... Why Nox flares matter to him. But why does he want a Nox flare? There's no reason for him to want it. Unless it's
I think that it could combine. I think he might know that they teleport or something. Like, maybe if he gets it right, he teleports to Elysian. Or maybe he just wants it around so he can look at it and try to burn it. You know, who knows?
Yeah, because he's obsessed with it like flame.
But he is, like, in love with Nox flares.
Yeah, but that's not inherent to pyrokinetics, because otherwise Marella would be too. I don't know. I think there might be something more to why he specifically wants it. Kind of like
I think the teleportation thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I think that could be true too.
It just doesn't make sense for why he wants it.
Well, if like burning it right could get him out of prison. He really wants out of prison.
Oh yeah, well that's what I'm saying. I don't see why he would want it other than that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, because he can't really burn it. He can gaze at it lovingly.
Yeah.
The real ship is Fenton and Nox flares. Forget Key Foster.
Finflare.
Noxton.
We have Fitz and chandeliers.
Oh my goodness.
And then we have Fenton and Nox flares. Sophie and Pockets. Pockets. What would Keefs be? I don't know what Keefs would be.
Goulons? I don't know.
Ooh, I don't like that. Moving on.
His hair, keeping his hair.
Yes, that's accurate. Okay, I have a couple more thoughts before we get to the end. Just random funny thoughts. Fenton Grin, tempting, but one Nox player is really all I need. Oh, yeah. I just thought that was weird. Yeah, because why is one Nox player all he really needs? There's definitely something more to it.
Yeah.
And that would
I'm
be,
100% sure Fallon knows. Like, because even Orly mentioned asking him about it.
Bruh.
What?
They just need to talk to Fallon.
Yeah, why haven't they?
I don't know.
Oh no, his mind drifts like, okay, and you're a telepath.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like,
totally.
just ask him and then, like, go in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's illegal. Oh, and? What he did was probably illegal. And this is why I should not be a telepath. Anyways.
It's Jaycie on the never seen poll.
That would make me never seen. That would make me really Black Swan, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I would be like Kenrick. I would be my own thing.
That's true. Yeah,
Do you think I would?
Kenrick is the Batman of the... He's literally the Batman of the Lost Cities. Yeah.
Batman is
What's the word for
That's
that?
crazy.
What's the word for that? Not antagonist.
I don't
There's
know.
a word for it, but I don't know. Okay.
I don't think I know the word. I had two. Well, I had another part to the Fenton thing. So, okay, Fenton says that he knows how Morella's mom died, right?
Okay, hold on.
Or not died, got injured. Oh, sorry. I'll let you get there first, and then I'll talk about what I think.
Wow, Jaycie.
Sorry.
I'm just getting through the like side little things first. So then, okay, it's weird how he's saying you'll have to trust me, like he's trustworthy at all. I don't know why he's doing that.
Like Fenton.
Weird.
Sweetie.
Yeah. Then I thought it was funny how Morella's like, if anything goes wrong, I'll just remind him Sophie's idea. Yeah. Not mine. Sophie's idea. Yeah. And then I thought it was disgusting that Fenton runs his hands through his greasy hair.
That's the one that got you?
Coughs,
bro,
spits.
Like, yeah.
Okay. That's gross. That's disgusting.
I hope that she
But,
did not touch it when she got it back.
Ugh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who touched it?
The guard, I
did the
think.
goblin? It just fell in his... Ugh. Bro.
I would
make a
not
meme
touch
about that one, Jaycie. Disgusting.
Wait, what's the thing? You know the Studio C sketch with the Bop It? I'll be like Fenton unlocking his cache, and it will be the Studio C person with the Bop It, where it's like, lick it, put it in your eye. I'm writing that down.
That's great. Yep, that's perfect. Oh, yeah, that was disgusting. I don't know. It's something about, like, okay, of course he's going to cough and spit on it, and that's disgusting as is. But the extra detail of, like, running his hands through his hair to get all the grease and then wiping that, like, just, I don't know. It just goes a little too far. It's disgusting. Ugh. Of course, this would be the villain's way of unlocking the catch.
Yeah,
of course.
100%.
Ugh, it's like a middle school. How old was he when he made this?
At least a few
Like
hundred
sixth
years
grade?
old.
What?
Oh my goodness.
What is the ancient council? A classroom?
What were you guys doing?
Yeah, real. Ugh, okay, so then next thought. Something's missing. Yeah, I think that's just the same stuff. Okay, them freezing it. Fenton can like get through that. I don't know.
Yeah, we've done the
like,
whole Frozen thing before. Do you remember that?
This is not keeping Fenton from anything.
Ice is literally, it's just making you feel better.
Yeah. Yep.
We learned that
Freezing
when
and
Kenrick
Nox flares.
died.
Yeah. It's not like that Nox flare is gonna... I guess it could stay frozen if it's that cold, but still, jeez.
Well, still.
Yeah.
Everblaze,
Okay.
guys. Everblaze.
Now I'm to the part where it says, I know what happened to your mother.
Yes.
Fun fact, where it says Marella sucked in a breath, I also sucked in a breath. And Jaycie said, what?
Because I knew what you were reading because I had already read it.
And
I was like, haha.
okay. I wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
Father. Is this proof he's her father? Probably
Oh.
not.
No, probably
you
not.
could go that way.
Oh, by the way, have you pressed play on the recording on your computer?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry. I don't think it's proof that he's her father, but I think that it's like, it's a weird specific thing for him to know.
Yeah.
And, okay, whenever he said that, I went and looked at Caprice, I believe that's her mom's name, Caprice, like, whole thing on the wiki, and this is what I got. So, I didn't remember the details of her injuries before, but what we know is she allegedly fell from a high balcony. Many suspect the cause was drinking too much fizzleberry wine. Why do we blame the fizzleberry wine for everything? One, is that the only alcoholic drink in the lost cities? Because we just, every time it's specifically fizzleberry, guys. That's all we made.
I never thought about that.
I think about it every time. I'm like, if that feels like a red wine.
That's true, because... No,
Yeah, because Kenrick says
totally
Orly
have
was...
grape wine.
Right, they can have any kind of wine. That they have whole elven foods. You guys can do anything. Fizzleberry, maybe that's everyone's favorite, but still crazy. Maybe. It's also a middle grade series, so she can probably only put one in there, but still. So
imagine if she was just like what if she was just like switched it up? It's not fizzleberry wine, it's tequila or something like that.
So it says that I'm skimming the wiki stuff that I copied and pasted. So she received brain damage, and as a result, her emotions run rampant. And while she takes elixirs to help herself control them, they aren't always effective. This happened back when Marella was a toddler. In Never Seen, Mr. Forkel, Sir Aston, mentions that her mother had started feeling better, and then that was a misunderstanding, and she wasn't actually feeling better. I don't know what that was all about. She was a witness to Syra's appearance at Mysterium before her leaving accident.
Oh, okay.
It gets bigger.
That's weird.
In Lodestar, according to Marella, Caprice will not leave the house, which Marella suspects is her reaction to the terrible things the Never Seen is doing. Marella doesn't want to freak out her mom by talking about Syra, as her mom is already stressed and her condition has gotten quite bad. On a later day, when her mom is feeling better and having a pretty good day, she questions her about Syra, asking why she had claimed Syra should have been more careful. And she responded that Syra was messing with things that she didn't understand before walking out of the room. She returned with a starstone, giving it to Marella after she promised not to use it, saying that she had found it in Syra's stall. Caprice had continued to have another fairly good day afterward. And in Nightfall, Book 6, when Marella manifests, Caprice is shown to be very supportive, sticking by her side all day. When deciding where to move Alvar, her home was ruled out because Marella believed his injuries would freak her out. So this is a big thing. Before Marella manifests, Caprice is talking about how Dex and his triplet siblings are product of a bad match, and she's pretty much on the discriminatory side. And then by book 6, there's no question, she fully supports Marella. Her dad builds her a whole fireproof room. That switch up is interesting to me, but what's really interesting to me is Syra was messing with things she didn't understand, walking out and coming back with a starstone and being a witness to the accident. Yeah,
where's that starstone?
I don't know.
Don't ever. What? I do not remember this.
Well, it's Lodestar.
Okay, hold on. Pause. I'm getting Lodestar. Pause it.
Okay.
Freeze.
Okay. We found it. It's on Lodestar, page, 522? Yes.
Yep.
Lodestar 522. In which Marella gets her ability triggered by Forkel, and she brings everyone a little envelope from her mom. She says, I asked my mom why she told Syra she needed to be more careful, and she told me it was because Syra was messing with things she didn't understand. So I asked her what that meant, and she got up and walked away. I figured she was done with the conversation, fast-forwarding some drama. But anyway, my mom came back down and gave me the thing I put in that envelope, but only after I promised her I'd never try to use it. She told me she found it in Syra's stall. It doesn't look dangerous to me, but maybe I just don't know what it is. The 4 friends huddled close as Fitz tore open the envelope and poured the single item into his clammy palm. A smooth, oval starstone. And when Fitz held it up to the light, it flashed blue. And then I'm fast-forwarding to where they use it to leap at 527, page 527. It wasn't the coldest leap Sophie had ever experienced, but it felt strangely turbulent, like the light was part of a windstorm, whipping them around, trying to send them scattering, and they reformed in a bedroom. A very fancy bedroom. Everything was velvet and silk and shades of red and black, with a bed big enough to sleep 10 people. And I go to the next one. They find Mrs. Stinkbottom. They say, this is Keith's room? I thought he didn't take Mrs. Stinkbottom with him. He didn't, so maybe... She wandered to the wall of windows and peeled back one of the curtains. Far below, she could see a stark courtyard with an iron arch over the main pathway. We're not in a never-seen hideout, she whispered. We're in Candleshade. I think, and then fast forward a little bit, this proves Syra made the Starstone in Lady Gisella's hairpin, doesn't it? It's worse than that, Sophie said. I think it proves for sure that Lady Gisella killed her.
Okay, yeah, I remember this, but I didn't remember that, that Caprice was connected at all.
Yeah.
Why is Caprice connected?
Isn't that weird?
Weird.
And Fenton,
Totally.
So what we got now is Lady Gisella killed Prentice's wife, Syra, who we know Prentice is wrapped up in some kind of conspiracy with Kenrick against Fenton. Fenton knows why Morella's mentally damaged mom, like what made her mentally damaged, and Morella's mentally damaged mom knows what happened to Syra, which had something to do with Lady Gisella.
What? I need these pinned on a board on the wall with like red string from one to the other.
Literally. Oh my goodness. I'm actually getting a piece of paper. Give me a second. I'm going to pause the recording. Wait, do you need to say anything or should I pause it?
No, that's fine.
Okay,
Pause
hold
it. I
on.
have no idea what we're saying, but I'm...
Okay, so I know basically in order. Fenton knows what happened with Caprice. Caprice owned the Starstone that Gisella used to kill Syra. Cyrus Prentice's wife. Prentice was probably a keeper for Kenrick and knew about Elysian, or had memories of Elysian maybe that he didn't know about in his head. But some kind of Elysian-related information is in Prentice's head, whether or not he knows. That's the butterflies. Let me write that down specifically. For context, I have a orally style mind map going on right now. Butterflies. And Kenrick also knows about those. Okay. So, Fenton killed Kenrick probably because he wanted to get to Elysian first, or Kenrick knew too much about Elysian. And he also wanted to be allies with him to find it. That's why I don't know if Fenton...
But Kenrick refused.
Right. And I don't know if Fenton was allies with Gisella or not at any point. Do we know that?
Some point were, because he kicks her out.
Yeah.
And that's how she ends up in the ogre prison. But we don't know when or how they ended up allies.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting. I wonder if this could be, I don't know, some of the way they started working together. I have no idea.
Oh, I know another one. And Caprice knows something about Syra. She didn't know what she was messing with or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So the weird thing about this is that Gisella technically doesn't have a direct connection to Caprice, only through Syra, and Fenton technically doesn't have a direct connection to Prentice. Like, he's not shown interest specifically in Prentice that I'm aware of, except the connection they have is through Elysian and Kenrick.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't think I don't think Fenton would give up information if he were at fault here. I think he knows something someone else did to Morella's mom.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that he did anything to her, but I think... do you think she's faking it?
Her injuries were so incurable. No, because he says right here he knows why her injuries are so incurable. I mean, I guess that could.
True.
Yeah, but I don't think
she's.
so.
Do you think she's on his side?
Maybe.
Because she says Syra didn't know who she was messing with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Possibly.
Huh.
Why would what could happen are her injuries? Do we know exactly? I know you just read them, but they're...
She was allegedly on a balcony and had too
Oh,
much
yeah,
Bizzleberry wine, fell and got brain damage, and now she can't control her emotions.
Brain damage. Can't control her emotions. Wait. Is that at all connected to... Hold on.
Connected to?
I don't know. Emotions makes me think Keith has... Stellarlune messed with his...
Ooh, Stellarlune?
I don't know. Can't control her emotions. It's not brain damage. Fenton knows why it's incurable. I don't know. Did Gisela poison her with Stellarlune as an experiment? I have no idea. I'm just throwing stuff out.
Maybe. And that would be a direct connection between Gisela and Caprice. But the question is, why wouldn't she tell anyone?
Who?
Maybe she, Caprice. Unless she volunteered for the experiment. Oh, you said she wouldn't know?
No, I don't think Caprice knows. Yeah. But I don't know why Gisela would target her.
And then the emotions remain afterwards.
Yeah. Well, she could have easily, like, literally slipped something into her drink. I don't know.
That's true,
or did something without her knowing. I don't know.
Okay, this is interesting.
I don't think we're gonna find. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna find an answer right now, but it is an interesting train of thought.
Yeah, but I didn't know that there was a connection between Caprice, Fenton, and then all of that other, like, Elysian stuff. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna...
There's definitely... Shannon definitely wrote something really complex, and then we have no idea.
No idea
what it is. She definitely does, but we don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll get to... Well, I noticed something earlier, but I'm going to do it whenever we do our last episode on Stellarlune, because it's at the end. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so that's that thought. And this is one other thought. So Fenton says this in Nightfall. This is a Fenton quote from Nightfall whenever he meets Marella. And I get to meet the new recruit. A Reddick, no less. Reddick being her last name. I don't know if it's Reddick or Reddick, but whatever. I am assuming your mother doesn't know about this new hobby, given how much she sacrificed to keep you away.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
Isn't that weird? Sacrificed.
Oh. That could be a reason she volunteers to be experimented on.
What did she? Yeah, to try to make sure her daughter wasn't a pyrokinetic?
Yeah.
Huh.
But why would she...
Do we know what Caprice's ability is? Okay. It says that her special ability is unknown. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird.
Huh.
Oh, that's weird.
That is weird. She could be a pyrokinetic. She could be like a polyglot pyrokinetic or something like
Mm-hmm.
to where she gets away with it, but no one knows what she actually is. Or just plain double ability.
How much she sacrificed to keep you away. And Fenton knows about it.
There's something here. I just don't know what, other than the stuff I've already said.
Yeah.
But, like how you said, why would she agree to be experimented with?
That would be a reason. Yeah.
That would be a reason.
That's crazy. Okay. So, the very ending of the story, I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. The guard growled, looking scarier than ever, and turned to march away, but he spun back after a few steps. He's right that I don't know what he offered you, but I can tell you're tempted, and I hope you're smart enough to reject it. Never make a deal with someone who has nothing to lose. I'm not, Marella promised, and she wasn't. She hadn't made any decisions, except to keep this to herself. But that didn't mean anything. She was just trying to avoid a ton of drama and arguing and having people give her advice she didn't need. Plus, everyone has secrets. Shoot, the great Sophie Foster had more secrets than anyone. So it was fine. Everything was fine. Nothing had changed. Time to focus on controlling her fire. And yet, for the rest of the lesson, the tiny spark in her heart burned hotter and hotter and hotter, whispering a new plea. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Dude, Fenton, she's gone. I'm sorry. Nope. This is her villain arc. This is her something.
Full villain arc? Or
No, I don't think full
attempted
villain. I don't think
Yeah.
never seen, but I think that she's gonna do some stuff that Sophie and the friends don't approve of. I think she's going to keep some
Okay,
secrets. Yes, go ahead.
Could the Black Swan have done something to Caprice? Just a thought.
Maybe,
Because
but
that
why would
explain
Fenton
why
keep that a
Fenton is selling
secret?
her. True.
He
Unless
would be
he's
like,
just,
bro, listen,
saving it
they're
for the right
worse
moment.
than me.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
Well, here's why, because Fenton is trying to get out of jail. And so he's trying to
He's trying
save
anything.
information that he can trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or just, I don't know if maybe they could have something not super pure to do with it.
Maybe.
I don't know. Just a thought. Probably not, but anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely something there, but I don't know if we could even guess what it is at this point. Anyways, I think that's the start of Morella's, like, miniature villain arc, but back to the main things.
Yeah.
Let's see how everyone reacts to her talking about being besties with Fenton.
Yep, because she totally doesn't talk about this.
Anyways, no, yeah, she doesn't. She keeps it to herself, which is why I was like, hey, Sydney, you should probably go read the thing, because, like, it's going to be a lot more interesting with us having that knowledge.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We forgot to mention trolls. They talk about the troll war.
Oh, yeah, there's something going on with the trolls.
And is this peace or forced submission? Walter asked, and that was
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
But okay, that's all. She totally is sus in this, though.
Yeah,
She's
she
like,
is. She's like kind of
I
avoiding
just
stuff.
realized.
She tells like a little bit of the story, and Sophie's like, anything else? And she's like, yeah, and Fenton like used some pink fire, and Sophie's like, anything else? And she's like, and some green, you know. So they kind of have to take everything out little by little.
Pink flames. Yeah. Bianca,
Did Fenton say anything after the movie?
anything?
Nope. Oh, that's a complete lie.
He just stood there staring at the catch with the same glazed look. Yeah, so Marella just
straight
Oh,
up
that's funny.
lies.
She says he did smirk when he gave the catch back to me. Probably because it was covered in like snot and stuff, but okay.
Yeah.
She didn't even mention that part either.
No. But he unlocked it by like rubbing it in his greasy hair. Which was something.
Disgusting.
Ew.
Yeah.
Dude,
Okay,
does
so then
he?
they keep all discussing.
I was gonna
What?
say, I guess he doesn't get to shower because like he can only have frozen water. Bro is just stewing. How does he pee?
Ooh.
he's been pooping and not washing his butt for how long? No.
He could have really cold water.
That's horrible.
He might have really cold water.
I guess.
Wait.
Maybe.
We had a discussion about elves pooping on the last
We
podcast
did.
too.
Yeah,
Because
we don't have
we
any
agreed they
description of-
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they definitely
mean,
do because of
technically.
Keith.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all we know.
Yeah. That they can poop.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to our philosophical podcast. Does Fenton wash his butt? Anyways, this is
How
what
long
happens
has
when
it
we try
been
to get
since
sleep
Fenton
deprived.
washed his butt?
Anyways.
Anyways. Okay.
My next note is literally on Trix. So what is your next note?
I just Nox Flair's discussion plan to trade with Fenton, and then Trix plan, they get the okay from the council. Yep. So
Okay.
that's all. Okay. Next.
Yes.
Trix?
Next Trix.
Never trust a Guster.
You know what they say. Morella's dad is a Guster. I'm going to throw that in. I don't remember if I said that on air or not.
You didn't say it on air. But
Never
that
trust
is
a Guster
interesting.
like Morella's dad.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason.
Yeah. Okay. This was weird. This did not go how I expected it.
Yeah.
I definitely was rooting for Glimmer
Mm-hmm.
to have a right,
Yeah.
just make a right decision. I can't believe they stood there that many hours. That was weird. And then
Yeah.
Vespera shows up. I really don't have a lot about this, except it was just what?
I
What are your
said
thoughts?
Trix is so dramatic.
Yeah. Oh, and Umber. That was sad.
Yeah, well, no, that was kind of...
I think we already talked about that, yeah.
I don't know,
It's
but
funny? Okay, I think we already talked about this, but funny?
I just can't stop
Tragic.
thinking about my meme.
The
Who
Home
would
Depot
win?
door
Who would win?
that I thought you said was Home Depot dwarf, and I was like picturing the totally wrong thing when she said door. Yeah,
Every
I don't know
time
if we
someone
mentioned
brings
this,
up Umber.
but if you go back to that podcast, when Jaycie says the Home Depot door, I was laughing because I thought she said the Home Depot dwarf. Like, you can hear me nervously laughing. Like, what are we talking? Like, I was picturing, what's his name? The dwarf in here? What's his name?
Oh, the bodyguard.
Yeah. Like, covered in Home Depot merch or something. But anyway. You have to repost this meme now.
I'm sorry. The Umber thing, I've literally done like a throwback to it. I'll put it on the story or something, but dude, every time I hear Umber, all I can think of is the fact that the Home Depot door defeated her in battle after she like splintered Fitz's bones in flashback. And I can't. It's just anyways. So yeah, sorry.
Anyways.
It is so sad, very sad. Yes, anyways.
Oh, okay. Are we still talking about Trix, or are we
Yes.
talking about Vespera now?
I think
Okay.
Trix still.
Okay, Trix, got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing else. on
Dramatic, cool.
there. What about you?
Okay. The next part is when Vespera shows up,
Uh-huh.
and I just noticed she talks about Broomvale. Just a quick
Oh.
little thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
And
didn't
she
even hear
just
that.
says she's never heard of such a place. And then Sophie's like, you left your symbol in the rubble. And Vespera's like, that wasn't mine, it was Gisela's. But anyway, point is, Vespera doesn't know what Broomvale is. She could be lying, but I doubt she is. So.
Yeah, she doesn't really have a reason to lie. She kind of like is, well, undefeatable until Gisela comes around.
Yeah. Yep. So then Vespera is all creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to see if I have any notes here. She
I don't
offers
have
them a
anything.
deal.
Mhm.
Yeah. Important.
my-
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was
No,
gonna
you
say
go
my
first.
only note on this entire chapter is I have no memory of like any of this happening. Like from the first time I read it, I was reading this like, what am I even?
Same.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Same. Because remember, I texted you and I was like, I don't even remember what happens with Trix.
I haven't the
Yeah.
vaguest recollection.
Yes, real. Yeah. I wrote down that there's important information on Gisela in here, but I think that's just that she is trying to frame them.
And doing something with another species. She was like allying with somebody. I don't remember if that was in this. Yeah.
Here it is.
The Empress Pernille thing.
Yes, read that.
Well, I'm looking at Sophie. She said, then why did Empress Pernille tell the council that she wasn't going to negotiate with him anymore? How should I know? Vespera asked. This is the first I've heard of such things. I suppose the tactic could be of some dramatic bluff on Empress Pernille's part, or Gisela could be behind this as well. Perhaps she's hoping to keep us distracted so that we do not interfere with her other efforts. I am sure she's also scrambling for a new set of allies, though I do not see how she would entice the trolls into committing such open defiance against the council. She has a gift for inspiring foolish choices, but risking war seems like it would require something more tangible than one of her pretty speeches. I shall have to give the matter longer consideration. In the meantime, it only makes my offer far more prudent. Does Shannon just, did she decide that the older a character is, the more they're gonna talk in cursive?
Yeah.
Alright.
No, Vespera just talks in cursive anyway. Keep going.
I think it's her thing.
I think
Your
it's her thing.
offer, Tam repeated. Let me guess, Rainey added. You're going to suggest we team up to take down Gisela? So that's when she kind of does that whole, you should accept my offer. We're going to take down Gisela together. Trade offer. I get your help defeating Gisela. You get nothing because I am immediately killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a meme I made. That's all I got from that chapter, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and then Vespera says Stellarlune is far from over.
Yeah. Okay, so just an interesting point. Everybody knows this, but Gisela not friends with Vespera anymore. Finton
Right.
not friends with Gisela anymore. Where's Gethin? No clue.
No
but
clue.
the band
But
has completely broken up.
yes, and we know from Unlocked that whatever Gethin's up to, it's, like, gonna be important. Because
Yeah.
Sophie's like, maybe I should be thinking more about what Gethin's doing.
We
Dot,
know
dot.
nothing about Gethin.
We know little
Maybe-
about him, but we know a little about him because of Lodestar. Because Forkel and Orly and Sophie go to, like, interrogate him together on a little family trip.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, he's about to show up because Vespera's gone. Fenton's locked up unless he gets out with the Nox flares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
I also think it's interesting that Gisella's negotiating with the trolls. I don't think that I, like, realized that before that chapter. So Gisela has some troll allies, which is weird after the whole never seen mutant troll hive thing. I don't know why the trolls are, like, friends with them again. Because I thought they weren't.
Yeah. Well, I think they talk about that. They already talked
Later.
about that, or later. Because she gave them the islands. That's why.
Oh, okay. I just forgot about that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Because they're mad at the humans and the council for giving so much room to the humans, and it all comes back to the humans.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Chapter 34. My note on this is the power in Elysian can allow them to be violent without breaking, ? So
Oh, okay.
what I got this from was this long speech by Vespera.
Okay.
Which starts with, Vespera's jaw tightened. All right, have it your way, because Sophie asks how much she knows about Stellarlune. Have it your way, for the moment. She smoothed her dress again before she added, Gisela has long believed that the Ancient Council, in an effort to maintain control over our growing population, chose to hold back our species by blocking access to certain vital sources of power. And she's convinced that the only way for us to reach our full potential is to expose ourselves to those natural forces. She created Stellarlune to prove her theory and has been working to acquire those power sources and test their effects on her son. And regardless of whether her experiments turn out to be effective, no one can deny that the Ancient Council buried a significant amount of knowledge, even from our current rulers. They've hidden the true power of Myxidian and left most of the supply with the dwarves so that no elf would have access to it. Same with Etherteen. And they removed 5 crucial stars from any maps and hid all trace of Elysian. Sophie couldn't stop herself from sucking in a breath. So you have learned that much at least, Vespera noted. Good. Hopefully you've also determined that Elysian is a place, kept off any records to prevent it from being discovered. It is a small piece of land, framed by 5 rivers, with little there worth mentioning aside from a quarry filled with a rare kind of stone that was never given a name. And up until 2 days ago, that stone was nothing more than an unimpressive piece of dark rock. But for the next 10 days, it is so much more. Just as Etherteen absorbs the power of quintessence and Myxidian absorbs the power of shadow flux, this stone has the capacity to contain the power of a 7th element. And then everyone's like counting all of them. Earth, wind, fire, water, quintessence, shadow flux, and... The element does not have a name because the Ancient Council did not want there to be any record of it. But it is believed to be a manifestation of the 3 prime sources. Sunlight, moonlight, and starlight. The light from a 6th unmapped star. A star that can only appear when the other 5 unmapped stars align during something the Ancient Council called nightfall. Sophie felt her knees wobble. The star only rises at nightfall. Lady Gisela had carved those words in runes around the door to her nightfall facility, what she'd built in the side of a lonely mountain and sealed with Keith's blood. And Sophie had assumed the phrase was a reference to the Lodestar Initiative and Vespera's old human experiments. But none of the clues she'd found had really fit into the kind of huge revelation that Sophie had been hoping for. Which I agree, I had the same thought. And she'd assumed the reason was because the Neverseen kept changing their leaders and their plans. What if she'd been wrong about everything? Does that mean either of the Nightfall facilities are in Elysian? She asked. Vespera shook her head. No, I chose the name from the legend of the 6th unmapped star, because I used to wonder if its light could be the key to unlocking our inner ruthlessness and could finally enable us to defend ourselves properly. But Gisela discovered that nightfall is a specific window of time that only comes around every few millennia. 10 days, Rainey mumbled. 12, Vespera corrected. As I said, 2 have already passed, which means we only have 10 more to make our way to Elysian, where each night the light from the 6th unmapped star is touching the sun-baked rocks in Elysian under a veil of moonlight, allowing the stones to absorb the power of all 3 prime sources. The stones must be severed from the earth before nightfall ends, otherwise all that power will simply flow back into the ground. But if they are gathered properly, they will contain the strongest, most vital energy of all, and the missing piece to Gisella's plans for Stellarlune. The power source Keith probably needed. And then everyone's like, I don't know if that's true. Do you have proof? And Vespera said, yes and no. Gisela has been very careful with her notes on the subject. Yeah.
You're talking to someone who literally escaped from the most high security prison for a reason. Y'all, you should believe her.
Like,
okay, continue.
Reason does she have to lie about this? Yes and no. Gisela has been very careful with her notes on the subject. She did not even include any mention of this in her archetype, but you can see hints of it in her Stellarlune symbol. The star in the center has 12 points, surrounded by a sun and a moon that have aligned. Huh, I don't think I've seen that symbol, Maruka said. Have any of you? Sophie nodded. The same mark had been on the seal of a letter that a much younger Keith had been tricked into delivering to Ethan Benedict Wright II in London. What the heck?
They have to do with this?
Not long before Lady Gisela murdered him and his daughter. She closed her eyes, letting her photographic memory pull up the symbol, and sure enough, the star had 12 points. And now that Vespera mentioned it, the 2 curves wrapping around it did look like a moon and sun in perfect alignment.
I love how Sophie's like having to load her memory.
I know. I'm having to load my memory right now. What? Okay. So, this symbol that's supposed to be the Stellarlune symbol shows the 12 days of Elysian's recharging, as well as the fact that the sun, the moon, and all the unmapped stars or something have to be in alignment.
Yep.
Okay. It shows the alignment of those things and the fact that it's 12 days long, and that seal was on the envelope that Keith took to the 2 random people in London.
Why?
What does
did
it have
he
to
take
do with
this
anything?
to the 2 people in London?
This is her, like, what's the male version of mistress? This is her mister. And the symbol actually has nothing to do with Stellarlune. It's just a threat letter. Oh Keith has a sister who is dead.
Okay, but like, back
but
to my Sophie's half-human theory from forever ago. That's basically disproven. Well, okay, when we get to theory episodes, someone else has a theory about this. That's
because someone thinks that that guy could be her dad.
No, I mean, some people do, but that's not what
I think that's too random.
Anyway, what? Tricked into delivering to Ethan Benedict Wright in London?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about them in a little bit when we get to them. But
yeah. Yeah. So.
Maybe she just, like, likes the logo and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what Tam says. Okay, but all the symbol proves is that Gisela believes these stories, Tam reminded her. That doesn't mean any of them are true. Perhaps not, Vespera said, but Elysian does exist. I've been there. I am the one who created... What? I forgot about that. I am the one who created the illusions to hide the quarry, though I had no idea where I was or what I was doing at the time. What? The ancient council gave me no explanation, so she wasn't an ancient counselor. There we go. They simply ordered me to use every trick in my arsenal to ensure that no one could ever discover what had been hidden, and I must have done my job well, because Gisela could not find anything when she went there. Wait, Gisela's been to Elysian? Sophie asked. Vespera nodded. I do not know when or how she found it, but she told me she once had a starstone that remembered the location. She could never see past my illusions, but she did find 3 tiny shards of a strange kind of crystallized stone, which she believed were remnants from the last time nightfall was upon us. And when she tested one, it set off an incredible kind of explosion, where the rubble somehow took on the shape of the blast. Well, there you go.
I wonder where she did that.
I wonder. Don't we know? You're saying that ironically, right?
No, I know she did it to Broomvale, but she's talking about the past. I thought.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you're right, maybe so. She once had a starstone that remembered the location. She told me she once had a starstone that remembered the location. But Why did the Starstone remember the location?
Well, because Syra made it that way, which is...
Wait,
it ends
this
up
is
with
going to be
Biana.
the same as... Yep. So Syra knows the location of... Syra knows the location of Elysian.
Yeah.
You're saying this so calmly. You let me make my whole mind map without this? Where's my pen?
Well, I thought you knew.
I didn't put it together. I don't
know if she necessarily knows how to get there, but I know she made the Starstone.
But
that's the
Starstones,
Starstone.
remember... Wait, how do Starstones work? I thought they, like,
I
remembered...
have no idea.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna research
Okay, we'll
this.
get
Let me
there,
pause
though.
the
Because we're going to
recording.
get...
No? Okay.
Well, we're going to get to when Biana finds it.
You're right.
So
but
I think... Yeah.
I want to know how they work. Like, how did she have to make it so that in the first place it would take anyone to Elysian? That's what
I guess
I'm
do
wondering.
a quick search. Okay.
Let me pause the recording. Okay, all the wiki says is that Starstones remember where they last were, but you said, while I was looking, you said, I think she knows from Gisela. I think Gisela probably Gisela, I pronounced it the way you said it. Gisela, probably told her to make a Starstone that went there, like, threatened her somehow. So I don't think she actually knows that Prentice kind of had the same stuff in his mind.
Yeah.
Okay, but... Okay, that's still enough for the dotted line connecting her to Elysian, so I'm going to leave that. Okay.
Cool.
Let's continue. So we have the blast. That's exactly what happened in Broomvale, Sophie said. Okay, so Gisela's little bombs, those are the blown up rocks from Elysian. Yeah. Okay. Vespera's
well, not blown
Hellskin.
up, but they're from
the rocks,
Elysian,
and they
blow things
they
up.
blow up. Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, hold on. If Gisela doesn't have a Starstone, how does she get to Elysian later? I guess we'll find out, but...
Maybe she made a leaping crystal. You can just carve them. I mean, Kenrick did, so...
Yeah, but how did he get back? Get back to Elysian? Oh, I guess she had to find it in the first place. No, it's been lost ever... I don't know. Okay. Because it says, wait, Gisela has tried...
Yeah, I assume she found it the same way Kenrick did, and then she made Syra make her a Starstone to it.
No, because it says, and Elysian has been lost ever since, Vespera added. Gisela has tried every possible means to make her way back there. All her efforts have failed.
No, Elysian has... No, because that's not true, because Kenrick has been there, and maybe even Fenton. Vespera doesn't know everything.
Yeah. No, Fenton was there a long time ago. Kenrick somehow found his way. Gisela hasn't. The only way Gisela can get there is by Starstone. But I don't know how she gets there at the end, but we'll find out when we get there.
Okay.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at everybody talking to each other. Do you have any other notes on this? Because that will give us specific places to look.
I do. Okay. So... plus, then they talk about how it has to do with Keith. And, plus wasn't this what she'd been looking for, is what Sophie says. A way to take control of Stellarlune so that Keith could have whatever he needed without having to deal with his mother. And then Vespera clears her throat. And I hear that Gisela's son has left the Lost Cities to prevent her from continuing her experiments. But she can find him, basically.
Right.
Okay.
Because of the tracker
My
thingy.
note here... Yeah, and then that's when they find out about that. But my note here is what even... I don't think I quite understand what Stellarlune even is. It's a substance that does something that mess with Keith. Where does it come from?
It's the starlight and moonlight thing. Orly talks about it. That's why it's specifically in my brain. Orly tells Sophie what it is.
Starlight, moonlight, Stellarlune.
Yeah,
but
I think it's starlight and moonlight.
What literally is it? How is it literally connected to Elysian?
I think it's just light. Connected to Elysian. I think it's from like an unmapped star or something. I would have to pull it up really quick. I can do that. But I don't know why it's like part of Stellarlune, you know what I mean? Because I thought Stellarlune was kind of a substance and not like a plan.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's
Stellarlune. When I look up Stellarlune, it's Stellarlune Book 9, Keeper of the Lost Cities. Okay, well, give me a... If you're looking for the substance Stellarlune, click this link. I'm going to do that. Ew, I'm going to pause the recording while I do that. Okay, I'm recording.
So the wiki says Stellarlune is a concept, or an idea, and not much is known about it, except it brings out potential. Okay,
It's
yeah,
a method.
we know.
It's a method.
And it revolves around shadow flux and quintessence, is dangerous, and is connected to Elysian. That's all it says.
Characters involved. It says Lady, Gisela, and Keith only. But Kenrick asks Fenton about Stellarlune.
Oh, well.
Whenever he won't say anything about Stellarlune, when Kenrick takes Orly to question Fenton in the memory in Orly's cache, which they watch in Unlocked,
yes,
Kenrick is asking Fenton about Stellarlune, and he accidentally mentions Elysian.
Yeah.
That memory, we
Jaycie,
actually see it in Stellarlune. I don't know what it is.
But what? Okay, I feel less dumb, though, now, because now I realize that no one knows what it is. And it's not just me.
No one knows what it is.
It's something with moon, star. And it's a concept.
What in the world? Okay, now I'm trying to see what false memory I recorded, because I know Orly says something about it, but I'm looking now.
No, she does. She says it's
something.
Stellar and Lune. Yeah,
she
but
says
it's not.
Stellar
She
and
doesn't
Lune.
know. Well, she says it's star and moon. Yeah, but she doesn't know. Hold on, I think it says something right here. She's the one who says that it translates to star moon.
Oh, but
yeah, it was revealed to Sophie that it's related to the secret in Counselor Orly's catch. It's connected to Elysian Unlocked, but that's all it says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember that. I just listened to our Unlocked episodes, but I promise she doesn't explain anything more of it. It's something about quintessence. And
I was thinking about quintessence or something then, I guess. Listen, man, yeah. I don't know what it is. So, okay, Stellarlune is the process by which you can bring out the full potential of an elf, which potentially, Vespera seems to indicate, includes their, I've said potential like 5 times, their potential for ruthlessness and for not having guilt. Do you think the elven guilt was, like, something created, like, or the Ancient Council took away the ability for elves to be ruthless without guilt? Is that what this is saying? And that's, like, to actually have that full potential, they would need, like, the process of Stellarlune?
Maybe, but Keith has been through, I guess it would be his 3rd step transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But what that has to do with Elysian, I have no idea.
Elysian's part of the process. Elysian's the last step. Like, you have to, like, I don't know, blow yourself up with the rocks or something. Ask permission of the Elysian, the person. May you please make me ruthless? And then she bippity-boppity-boos you. I don't know. Okay. But I know that's 35. The 3rd step. Maybe the last
Moving
step.
on.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just glad no one really knows what Stellarlune is.
35.
Keith needs Stellarlune, basically. Sophie says we go to Elysian on our own. Glimmer says she's a real leader. Fenton was the one who called Keith that, not me. I like Keith. He was always telling hilarious stories. Gisela told Umber that the last step of Stellarlune was designed to break him. She said, no, is Glimmer saying this? Trix explained. Gisela told Umber that the last step of Stellarlune was designed to break Keith. She said she couldn't simply make Keith powerful. She had to make sure he's also obedient. And my note says, what the? Then he says, Gisela might have tried to make people think otherwise to keep them guessing, but Keith and his abilities are crucial. And she told Umber that. Point is, whatever she's going to do to Keith, which we don't know, which is the last step of Stellarlune, is to make sure he's not just powerful, but obedient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What the heck?
Like, trying to... And I think, like, the way that he got really scared and, like, ran away, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but Keith doesn't know about this. Keith doesn't... At this point, Keith doesn't even know there's a 3rd step.
Yeah, but fear is a great way to control people. So what I mean is just, like, she made him so scared of his own abilities that maybe he's going to feel like he needs to obey her in order to, like, not hurt people.
Yeah.
She'll be like, if you go through the third step, everything will go back to normal and your abilities won't be crazy anymore and you'll be not numb. Because, we're on the same page that he's numb, right?
Yeah, but, Gisela, I think this is a hint towards what she's actually going to do. Whatever she's going to do, it's going to make Keith obedient in some way. Like, I don't think to me, that's the way Trix says it. Gisela told Umber that the last step is designed to break him. She said she's going to make him powerful. She had to make sure he's obedient. So he's, like, continuing. The last step of Stellarlune is designed to break him. And that's why they say, basically, you got to get Keith out of there. Away from her. And then she goes and gets Keith and brings him to Gisela. But that's beside the point.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means, but just keep it in the back of your mind.
Trix leaves. He jumps off a cliff. Probably to Ogre Phase Shift, which hasn't been mentioned since, like, Everblaze.
Real. Then they figure out that Vesper's telling the truth, as if that wasn't already obvious.
Yeah, as if we didn't know.
Then Sophie's like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab my spy ball. We're bringing it to Dex. Then we're going to Keith. And that's what we're doing.
Yep.
And then Wiley says, what about Elysian? I know we can find ourselves. And then Glimmer ends this by saying, you sound like a real leader. So my note here is, for some reason, I thought she was going to say she's acting like Gisela or something. I was like, oh. But no. I was like, where's this
But it was
going?
actually a compliment.
Yep,
All right.
Yep.
And our final chapter for this episode, 36.
36. Woohoo! We're so close. Okay. My note for this is just, where is it?
My first note for 36 is on, like, the page after the first one, where it says it was 10:47, and it's just jolting to see a time written down on a Keeper of Velocity's page. I was like, I have never seen that in the entire series.
Or the hour before noon. You're right. Wow.
I don't think I've ever seen a single time about, like, not even, like, Foxfire starts at 8, like, nothing.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird. Well, it goes with the whole thing we talked about, like...
Yeah, 100%.
It's intentionally confusing, but...
Oh, and then they talk about time zones, and Dex says the lost cities are all in the same time zone, which Sophie had definitely noticed, even though she had no idea how it worked, since the houses and cities were scattered all over the planet. Shannon just realized, like, oops, I accidentally didn't make time zones. They're not a thing in the L cities.
My note is just they ditched the bodyguards and Tam, Dex, and Sophie go get Keith. So I think that's all I've got for this chapter. Oh, and then they keep talking about time. 10:59, 11.
That was the weirdest thing.
Yep. And then, okay, wait. The end of this chapter.
I'm scrolling through.
It was such a sigh of relief when he shows up.
Okay, hold on. I just, like, screamed, so I gotta, like, read it now. She raised her fist to knock, and they all flinched as the sound echoed down the hall. Please let it be Keith, she begged. Please don't let it be some grumpy rich human who will be very angry about being woken up. She had to knock a second time before footsteps slowly started plodding toward them, and the door opened just enough to let a familiar blonde boy peek out. His ice-blue eyes were droopy with sleep, but they widened when they focused on Sophie, and for a moment he just stared at her. Then his lips curled into a smirk, and he whispered, Foster? That was all Sophie needed. She leapt forward and tackle-hugged Keith. That's so cute.
Bro just woke up and he's
I know.
like, huh?
He's like, what are you doing here? Completely disheveled. This is almost how Sophie felt when she woke up and saw Vespera standing above her bed.
Oh my gosh.
That has to be like, that would haunt my nightmares. Like, waking up with someone standing above your bed, period. Yeah. Horrifying.
Okay, wait. What's that? There's like a commercial or something where someone wakes up and there's a music artist in their room.
What?
I'm finding that video. I'm finding it. And you're making a meme out of that because it's like, who is it? It's like a rapper or somebody. I'm finding it, but it's no exactly
idea. I'll
Vespera.
write down to make you find that for me because I think that's so funny because you don't. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think about it, and then I did, and I was like, oh, All right, that's it for
Okay.
this episode, chapters 31 to 36. In the next episode, we will get into Keith becoming a part of the narrative again.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be
Cool.
fun. But yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah.
All right. That's all for this episode. Thank you for
Cool.
listening. And yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Forbidden Cities podcast. Leave us a review and tell a friend about the podcast if you liked us. Email us with comments and episode suggestions at theforbiddencitiespodcast@gmail.com. And to follow us on Instagram, just search @Forbidden Cities Podcast.